Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I will be your host for today. What an exciting day we have in store. You might notice that as the week's gone on, I've got a little bushier beard and a little more tanned. It is absolutely beautiful, incredible out here in the Galapagos Islands on the equator. So if you visit DARWIN200.com, you can see exactly where we are right now on the Oosterschelde. We have actually just set sail from Santa Cruz, and we are making our way towards Bartolome, where we're going to spend the day. We're going to visit Pinnacle Rock. We're going to climb the volcano to see the one-of-a-kind, the most photographed spot in the Galapagos. We're going to get into the water and snorkel with the penguins, the sea lions, the giant, or it's not the giant tortoises, the green sea turtles. It's going to be absolutely incredible. It is busy activity here on the ship. In fact, behind me, they're just getting ready to raise one of the sails. So when that starts to go up, I will make sure we have a really nice view of that. And we'll watch the sails go up. We'll have a little tour around the ship. We have some naturalists on board. Stuart McPherson, expedition leader, is with us. We have a ton of video clips. So Jesse is backstage. He will play clips for us as I call for those clips. But let me change my camera because I want to bring Stu in right now. And let's start with a hello. So just bear with me. We're going from front to back. There we go. Buenos dias, Stuart. How are you?
Buenos dias. It's lovely to welcome you to the Galapagos. This is our 16th port so far from the start of the voyage. And in many ways, this is the most important of all because, of course, this place is forever linked with the amazing Charles Darwin and his research and some of his greatest discoveries, which were made here. As Joe said, we've got an action-packed event for you today. We've got new experiments as well and new curiosities of the week. So we hope you're going to really enjoy our session this morning live from the beautiful Galapagos.
And I'm really excited too, Stuart, because the last week's experiment, this week's curiosity, and then this week's experiment are all going to tie together nicely. So maybe we'll talk about that right at the end, how everything tied together really nicely with where we are.
That's absolutely. They're all with a common theme related to the Galapagos. So we hope you take part in our experiments and curiosities and take part in that.
Beautiful. So in a moment, Stu, I'm going to get Jesse to cue up a video for us. But people kind of know how my week's been going. How's your week been going?
Yep, so I've been working with the different Darwin leaders. We've got 7 brand new projects coming in, starting in 2 days' time. They're going to be doing a whole rainbow of subjects, from some of the big spectacular animals like giant tortoises, all the way to endemic little beetles and unique plants called the Solanaceae. So we've got some really, really good projects coming up. If you stay tuned and take part in the sessions, you can meet the Darwin leaders, talk to them, and find out about their projects. So we've got some exciting ones coming.
Beautiful. So the first video that we're going to play, first I'm going to hop over here, and I want to show you this. So in the distance, you might be able to see Santa Cruz as we head away from it. And then it's blue ocean. It looks like a desert, doesn't it? But here in the Galapagos, it is not a desert. It is an extremely nutrient-rich area, cold water upwelling against the islands, and it supports an amazing variety of life, both in the ocean. We're going to do, Jesse is going to queue up the marine life video, and we're going to take a look at what's going on in this blue. So we can't see a lot, but we're going to take a look at what's going on down below. So beautiful green sea turtles, the only species of sea turtle found in the Galapagos, 7 around the world, but only the green sea turtle here. And they feed on seagrass and algae on the rocks. Here's a white spot or a spotted eagle ray. So we got a nice shot with the sun up there. These are black-tip reef sharks. So during the day, they kind of lay on the bottom. At night, they come out to hunt and to feed. So this is a group of about 15 to 20 of them, just laying on the sandy bottom in a lagoon. Cow-nose rays, so they move across these groups and they just kind of come in out of nowhere. Beautiful, slow-moving in the mangroves. So they like the mangroves, it's safe for them, lots of food. And of course the hammerheads. So we visited Kicker Rock, which is off the coast of San Cristobal. And we encountered this little group of hammerheads, about a dozen of them. And they kind of slip in, they slip out. So 1 minute there's nothing. then you've got a dozen of them around you, and then they're completely gone again. And finally, the Galapagos sea lion. So unique to the Galapagos, the smallest species of sea lion, and man, oh man, do they love to play. If you blow bubbles, if you do somersaults, they're gonna jump in there with you right into the water. All right, so there we go. It looks blue, it looks empty, but it is actually full of life. And I think that video did a pretty good job of illustrating that. Now, Stuart mentioned that we are out in the field right now with the Darwin leaders. So there were 4 Darwin leaders on San Cristobal, and then we have 7 who are going to be on Santa Cruz. So I'm going to switch my camera view here one more time. There we go, so we can see me for a moment. There's Rodri. Hi, Rodri. Hello. Rodri's going to be busy today, running around, doing some filming. We know Rodri pretty well. He's joined us quite a few times. Okay, so yeah, the 4 Darwin leaders, one of the projects was giant tortoises. So we went up to a higher elevation, and a Darwin leader got to spend 3 or 4 days with the giant tortoises, and we captured a little footage. So, Jesse, if you want to cue up the giant tortoise footage, and I'll talk a little bit over it as we watch. So what's absolutely incredible about the tortoises is each island has its own unique species. Now, originally, they would have come from the mainland, maybe somewhere around Ecuador, Peru. There'd be big storms, and it would wash lots of plant matter, trunks, leaves, palms into the water, making these floating rafts. And tortoises, reptiles, lizards, things like that would climb on board. They can live for a long time without water, and they would drift to the Galapagos. And so one species, with several of them on different islands, over time, natural selection would have acted upon them and changed them in different ways. So on some islands, they have short necks because they eat food off the ground. On other islands, there's the saddleback tortoises. They have big, long necks because their food is higher and harder to reach. So depending on the island, you can actually, Darwin was told when he visited, that you know where the tortoise is from by looking at it. He could say, yes, that one's from Floriana, that one's from Santa Cruz, because they look a little bit different depending on the island. These tortoises can live well over 100 years. They've been documented to live up to 150, maybe even longer. So the tortoises can live for a very, very long time. It's possible there's still a tortoise roaming the islands that was here when Charles Darwin visited on the voyage of the Beagle so long ago. Tomorrow we'll broadcast live from the Highlands on Santa Cruz with the tortoises. So definitely join us for that at 12 p.m. Eastern. So 10 o'clock Galapagos time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. if you're joining us from the UK. So one more little bit of wildlife I want to cover. If you joined us yesterday, we visited the Tortuga Bay on Santa Cruz. And what's really special about Tortuga Bay is its beautiful white sand beach, very fine, like powder, like flour. That got that way because it was eaten by parrotfish. So parrotfish would nip off bits of coral, and when they poop, they make that beautiful sand that we see, and that washes up on the beach. So I have news for everybody here. When you're on a beautiful tropical beach, that white sand, it was probably pooped out by a parrot. The beach. But we visited the beach. We had Colette, a naturalist, with us. We saw baby reef sharks. We saw all kinds of bird species. We learned about the ocean plastics that drift in from around the world on the currents and then wash on the beaches. And we spent time with those marine iguanas. If you missed it, if you visit the DARWIN200 YouTube channel, you can find it there and catch up. But the marine iguanas, Jesse, if you want to play the video for us of the marine iguanas, I'd love to talk about them for a minute. So you just saw Rodri, and Rodri was in the field with one of the Darwin leaders. So he captured this incredible marine iguana footage. So again, these are volcanic islands formed 4.5 million years ago. They're on a volcanic hotspot. So in the west, you have the new islands, Fernandina, Isabella, which is a group of 6 volcanoes that formed together to make the one big island of Isabella, the biggest island. As you move to the east, the islands are older, more established with plants and animals. And then Espanola is the oldest island, and it's eroding away. and eventually will sink back beneath the surface. These marine iguanas are the only lizards that use the ocean. They warm up in the morning, they head out like they are right now into the ocean, and they're looking for food. So they would have come here the same way that tortoises would have, drifting. An iguana species would have drifted here on a raft. Over hundreds of thousands of years, we had different species like the land iguana, who use prickly pear cactuses for food on land. And we have the marine iguana with their flattened tails for moving through the water. They dive down deep and they feed on this incredible algae growing on the rocks, but they can't stay very long. They're cold-blooded, so they have to come back to the surface and warm up on land. But then they have a special adaptation. So they have to get the salt water out of their bodies. It's too much salt for them to handle. But in their nose, they have a special gland, and they sneeze that salt out of their body. So if you sit on the beach with marine iguanas, you will hear them sneezing all day long as they're shooting salty snot rockets all over each other to get that salt out of their bodies. We saw some iguanas on the beach at Tortuga Bay yesterday that were really skinny. We could see their ribs. And that's because it's been a year where the water temperatures are different. They think it was another El Nino year. So there wasn't as much food around for the marine iguanas. So some of them are really struggling, but they have an adaptation where they can use up to 20% of their body weight to keep them alive. So up to 20% they shrink. And that's a really important adaptation in a spot like the Galapagos, where sometimes it's really good, lots of nutrients, but then sometimes there's years or seasons that are tougher. So with that adaptation, they can use about 20% of their body weight and still be with us and around. So you can see this one here feeding on the rocks. If they don't have to be in the water, it's better for them. They've got these beautiful claws for gripping onto that lava rock. So even if they're washed over by a wave, they're not going to get pulled into the water. They can hold on really tight and keep eating. On the docks where we were visiting, we saw the really small ones, the baby ones. It's a nice, safe spot for them to grow larger. And then yesterday in Tortuga Bay, we saw the really large ones sunning themselves in the morning. So at night, they were huddled together to stay warm. Some of them were in the bushes. And then as the sun warms them up, they're going to make their way down the beach into the water. And they really like those surf zones where it's really rocky, where the water is moving in and out, and they need to be able to grab on with those claws. All right, Stu, bring me back. There we go.
So there's a really amazing fact about the marine iguanas. Darwin, when he visited here nearly 185 years ago, wondered what they ate. People previously thought that they ate fish or fruits like many other iguana species around the world, because he noticed them swimming down into the water. He actually discovered, though, that they ate algae. They're the only land reptiles on Earth that swim down into the sea and graze algae as their food. So they're very, very special. There's many species and subspecies all the way across the Galapagos, and we're going to see many more over the coming days.
Absolutely. All right. Jesse, I think that I'm going to invite some special guests to join us. Actually, I might walk over to them. We'll see how the internet does. If it does fade out on us, I'm going to come back this way with them. But we have two on board. Absolutely amazing. They're born here. They know these islands better than anybody else in the world. Here.
We're cutting out before we even go in to visit them. That's kind of unfortunate. Well, we're going to have Joe back in just a second, folks. And worst case scenario, we'll play a few of our videos to get everybody ready as we continue on in this world's most exciting classroom episode. But fingers crossed, the connection's been really, really good, both yesterday on the beach and today on the ship on the way to our next island. So stay tuned for another few seconds or so. I'll wait to see if Joe comes back. And I can also play again some of the amazing footage of some of the wildlife that we've had the chance to see on these islands over the last little bit. So fingers crossed, everything works out. And as I said, worst case, we've got a whole bevy of videos to keep the excitement and learning going. I do want to note again, DARWIN200, if you want to check out more information about everything they got on the go. And I'll highlight more stuff later because it looks like we've got Joe back and the connection is perfect anew. Hey, Joe.
We certainly do. I should remind everybody that we are in the open ocean. There's no connectivity. We're using a Starlink unit that we have tucked inside of this boat here. So every once in a while, we will have a little freeze, but it does tend to come back after, 20, 30 seconds or so. So bear with us. We are in the middle of the ocean. All right. Let me switch my camera view because we have two very special guests with us today. There we go. Let's get to the back. Beautiful. All right. So I was just talking about naturalists, and we have Soto with us. We have Mario with us. How are you guys doing today?
Very well.
Excited.
Exciting.
It's so exciting. First thing I want you to do, if you would like to, is tell us a little bit about these islands and how they're protected. About just in general, it's 97% national park. Is that right?
Yep. 97% national park, only 3% is a private land.
Okay.
So if we join all the islands, and of those ones, we have 14 islands, and on those 14 islands, only 5 islands are inhabited.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not mean one inhabited island, all the island is a private land. It's only a percent of that island. If we talk about Santa Cruz, for example, only 10% of Santa Cruz is a private land, 90% is a national park. So it's where the farms on the islands are and the harbor.
All right. And so if somebody were here visiting, maybe on one of the ships, and they were spending a week, you guys need to be with them, right? They need a naturalist.
Yeah, those are the Galapagos National Park rules. Every time you visit the national park, you have to be with a naturalist guide.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to keep the islands the best protected.
Yeah. And the knowledge too. You guys know these islands better than anybody in the world.
Well, we have to do the training in order to be naturalist guides, get the license. But in our case, we were born in the Galapagos. We've been here for a little while.
Yeah.
And so we know the islands by the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, Fernandina. I love Fernandina, youngest island, still very volcanically active. Do you guys have a favorite spot that you like to visit?
That's difficult. Yeah,
too hard, right?
Yeah, too hard because all of them are beautiful.
Yeah.
All of them have a specific things to show up and are amazing, all of them.
Yeah.
In some islands, you have a more wildlife. In other islands, more geological.
Yep.
And stuff, around. And all of them are beautiful. All of them. I don't have really a favorite island. And all of them are nice. But I am agree with you. Fernandina is amazing.
Fernandina is a beautiful spot. Yeah.
It's hard to choose one because they're all different. Okay? And different wildlife.
Yeah.
I love Fernandina. It's great to be there. It's so pristine. Okay.
Yeah.
But also I like Bartolomé, the island we visit today.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous view. It's the most representative view of Galapagos.
Yeah.
So actually, I would say that I like all of them.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. I think what's so unique here is every island you visit, you feel like almost you could come to a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unique species on the islands found nowhere else in the world. It really is quite an amazing place here. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about where we're going today?
Today we visited two islands. We visit Bartolomé Island and Santiago or James.
Yep.
The two are very close. It's a short distance channel between the two islands.
Yep.
And it's more about geology. Is the Sullivan Bay is a young lava field. So we're going to be walking there. It's like to be on a different planet. Okay.
Yeah.
It's also Bartolomé is the island with the penguins.
Yes.
But today we see the Galapagos penguin.
We'll see them, and if we're very, very lucky, sometimes they're curious and they come see the snorkelers, which would be absolutely amazing to see today.
Yes.
So Pinnacle Rock, I think, is one of the most photographed places in all of the Galapagos. We're going to see it today. Hopefully get some great shots of the ship as it sails through. We'll go up onto the volcano top.
Sure.
Pinnacle Rock is a unique formation. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is, Pinnacle Rock?
Pinnacle Rock basically is the shape of the cone, and ash cone, tough lava. It's basically by erosion that have been eroded.
Yeah.
And it's part of the wall of the cone.
Okay.
Part of the wall of the cone. You're going to see as soon as we get there how how became to form that area.
Yeah.
It's an ash lava. It's
Beautiful.
An ash compact lava.
Yep, beautiful. We're going to get tons of video. We're going to share that with everybody, of course. I want to remind people tuning in, use the chat sidebar. Any questions about the islands, about the marine life, the land life, please send them in. I do have a question that's come in here already about the Galapagos sea lions. And the student is wondering, how deep can they dive, the sea lions?
That is a good question.
It depends. They can go probably 20 meters.
Yep.
That will be like 60 feet.
Yep.
Okay?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But probably they go deeper. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And then what you'll notice too is sometimes you see the young ones on the beach, but then sometimes you see the really big males. How big can those males get?
They can be actually like 250 kilos.
Yeah.
Probably 500 pounds.
500 pounds.
They're huge. They
Yep.
grow big bodies, compete
Yep.
with the other males.
Yep.
Because only the very big ones that get the chance to become alpha males and pass their genes.
Yep. Yep.
So
it's tough protecting that group of females from other males when they come.
yeah, the mating season, the males compete for the areas along the shoreline where the
Yep.
females are. So they
Yep.
they control more the area than the females. So the bigger area or the best area with more females, they get the chance to pass their genes more than the other alpha males.
Yep. All right. We have a question about the giant tortoises, and just a little question about. This is hard because they're on different islands. You'll find them, but maybe some examples of what the giant tortoises eat on the islands.
They are herbivores.
Yep.
It's why they live on an island. On almost all kind of vegetation they find around.
Yep.
Is what they eat. They are herbivores.
So all kinds of
All
vegetation.
kind of vegetation.
I imagine some of them can eat those prickly pear cactuses as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. When there are long droughts, the vegetation from the island dry.
Yeah.
Like disappear. Then they come down to the arid areas.
Yep.
For find and some and also they are waiting for the prickly pears to fall off. And it's one of the reasons why the prickly pears are very tall ones over here.
Yeah. And we saw such a good example of natural selection with those prickly pear cactuses. Because on the islands where maybe you don't have the tortoises and the land iguanas, they're like little shrubs.
Yep.
They're very small. But then on the islands where there are those predators that feed on them, they can grow very tall like trees. I thought that was an amazing example of how conditions can kind of shape the prickly pear cactuses.
Yeah, this is incredible. Prickly pear, are endemic from America.
Yep.
You don't find anywhere else around the world. And also now in Australia, they were introduced.
Okay. Yeah.
They were removed from here to there. But also here in Galapagos.
Yeah.
Like you said. And prickly pears are shrubs.
Yeah.
And even here in Galapagos.
Yeah.
But they turn on that way. They evolve on that way. That features, very tall ones, only for to be safe of basically land iguanas and tortoises.
Yeah, we saw some examples, probably over 100 years old, with the trunk is completely solid. The thorns are gone and completely solid trunks. It's just amazing to be able to see, to visit different islands and see those little differences in the mockingbird, in the tortoises, in the marine iguanas. Yeah, such a great laboratory for evolution.
As you say, the cactus are not the only ones they adapt to the different natural conditions.
Yep.
There are a lot of different species living on different islands. They adapt to different natural conditions, develop different genetic and morphological characteristics.
Yep.
That's the Galapagos. It's a natural laboratory of evolution.
Absolutely. A couple more questions coming here. This is from Miss Beck's class, and they want to know the penguins. How do you have an estimate of how long maybe they hunt in the water during the day, the penguins?
It depends on how hot the water is.
Yep.
And available food.
Yep.
They could spend probably a whole day.
A whole day, yeah.
Or if they are lucky, they find a food, maybe a few hours.
Yeah.
And back to the shore. Yeah, it depends. All
yeah.
the conditions, In a hot season between December to May, when the warm water from the north comes to here, and they spend a longer time because there are less food,
Right.
But when the cold water comes from the south, where the water is cooler and is more rich in food and nutrients, they spend less time in it.
Quicker and easier when they have the nice nutrient-rich cold
and
water.
Also, they fishing in large groups, and when they are in warm water, in less groups, less sometimes in single.
Yeah.
Single.
Well, we know the penguins are good natural fishermen, but like many places around the world, the Galapagos struggles with illegal fishing, with people coming and fishing. So Mr. Deneen's class would like to know what are some ways that we try to protect the waters, maybe keep the illegal fishermen out? Are there some ways that the government or the local rangers try to keep the fishermen away from the waters?
There's a lot of patrolling.
Patrolling.
Also nowadays it's technology, so we know where all the ships are.
Oh, so the satellite, you can look down as well.
You can tell where they are, and if they come into the Galapagos Marine Reserve. So it's more about technology nowadays.
Sure.
To control that.
Yeah, and also the local ones, the local fishermen, they have areas. They are specific areas.
Yep.
There are zones where they could fish in.
Okay.
There are even signs on islands, where the fishing, tourism, and also scientists.
Yep.
And areas around.
All right.
And the people are very conscious also here. Even the fishermen are conscious.
Yep.
We have to preserve, this beautiful.
We have to, yeah.
Place.
Yeah, and I know, the local fishing community, I know they're very careful, but I also know that sometimes the big fleets try to come in, right?
Yeah,
and that's a challenge. Yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for spending a little time with us on the world's most exciting classroom. I can't wait to get out onto the islands with you today, to get out in the field. We're going to have so many pictures, so many videos for all the classrooms joining us. But for now, I'll let you guys maybe relax a little bit and get ready, because we're going to keep you busy with questions and hiking and getting in the water. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
you guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. Jesse, let's play some Kahoot. I think now's a good time to play some Kahoot. If you want to load up the Kahoot and get the screen shared, I will tell the classrooms where we need to go, what our PIN number is going to be. So in a moment, you'll see we need to go to kahoot.it. Then it's going to ask you for your PIN number. It is 648-5391 for today. If you have technology at your seat, you could join on your Chromebook, on your tablet. If not, maybe your teacher could pop it up at the front of the room. You can shout out your answers to him or her. And then if you're at home, we always have home students joining us. You can scan the QR code on a phone, on a tablet. Then you can join us. I see some groups joining us already. The Genius Seal. We have lots of not seals, but sea lions here in the Galapagos. We have, I believe, 5 or 6 questions today. There'll be some multiple choice, some true and false. They are all related to what we have talked about today. 20 seconds to get your answers in. The quicker you put your answer in, the more points you are going to end up with. I see we have several classroom groups that have joined us. Let's give it another minute or so, and then we will go with that. After our Kahoot, looks like we're loading. I think we're ready. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. The volcanic hotspot. Which island do you think it's under? I mentioned the island earlier. It's my favorite island. Is it Santa Cruz? Is it Fernandina? Is it San Cristobal? Or is it Santiago? So that hotspot's like a conveyor belt. Islands are formed, they move to the east. New islands are formed, they move on the conveyor belt to the east. All right, good job, crew. It is Fernandina. It's the youngest island. It just erupted a few weeks ago, in fact. Fernandina is the youngest island. It's my favorite island, and it is right over the hotspot. Genius Seal, you are holding down that lead. Let's go to our next question. True or false? Giant tortoises can live for 50 years. Is that true or false? That giant tortoises only live about 50 years. True or false? Is it shorter? Is it much longer? Or is it about 50 years? You've got a few more seconds to lock in your answer. All right, that is false. Yes, they can live 50 years, but they can live well over 100 years, recorded over 150 years. So they can definitely live a long time. Over 100 years is not unusual for a giant tortoise. All right, what has happened here? Genius Seal is still holding down that spot. Let's go to our next question. Maybe after this, we'll take a quick walk around of the boat as well. So if anyone's joining us for the first time, they can see it. So 4 volcanoes formed together to make Isabella. Is that true or is that false? I told you that a little bit earlier. Is it 4 volcanoes? Was it less volcanoes? Was it more volcanoes? So true or false? Isabella is 4 volcanoes. All right. It is false. It's actually 6 volcanoes that make up Isabella. They would have formed separately, but as they continued to grow, as new land was formed from the magma rising from that hotspot, we ended up with 6 of them fusing to form that really cool seahorse-shaped island. Genius seal does not want to let go. Here we go. Let's go to our next question. Galapagos sea lions can dive to depths of, was it 50 meters, 250 meters, 400 meters, or 600 meters? How deep can those Galapagos sea lions dive? So during the day, they're lazing around in the sun. You can find them on the beaches, on the rocks. You can find them in town, laying in front of the bank, laying on the dock. All right. So believe it or not, 600 meters is the deepest recorded depth of a sea lion. 600 meters. Absolutely amazing. They wouldn't do that all the time, but you know, sometimes you have to go and look for food. Sometimes you have to push the limits. So up to 600 meters. Genius seal, holding on. I think we have one more. Jesse, that might be right. Yeah, true or false? Marine iguanas are the only lizards that spend time in the ocean. Is that true or is that false? Those marine iguanas are the only ones spending time in the ocean, or do others? True or false? Absolutely true. We didn't fool many students on that one. They are the only lizards that use the ocean, that spend time in the ocean. Okay, here we go, the podium. 3rd place, we've got the speedy possum. In 2nd place, we've got the silly horse. And in 1st place, we have the genius seal. Genius seal did not want to let go of that lead. Good job to everybody. If you go to classroom@darwin200.com, if you are in the classroom with the genius seal, send us a message and we'll get you taken care of. Classroom@darwin200.com. Congratulations to the classroom that genius seal. All right, let me switch my camera view here quickly. And then we're going to play another little video here for you. So if you've been tuning in regularly, you know that we are partnered with the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth. They do absolutely incredible conservation work with the Ocean Conservation Trust, but they also have done amazing events for us. Sometimes they join us live, sometimes they send us video clips. And we're going to play a little promo clip here for them because they have a really cool contest going on right now. Okay, so please do visit the website. If you're in the UK, some countries in Europe, this contest is for you. Please take a visit. Please check it out. Of course, they would love to have as many students participating as possible. And who doesn't like a chance to share, to be involved in an event like this? So please do take some time and explore that. All right. So a few things to do. We have an experiment from 2 weeks ago, rearing brine shrimp. We have a new experiment. We have our curiosities of the week. So lots to do. What I think I'll do now, because the deck is quiet, people are actually downstairs having some breakfast. What I think I will do is take a little walk of the ship, and then we're going to get to those other videos. So I'm going to switch my camera view one more time here. Let's go to the back camera. Beautiful. So signal might go out on us, but as I move closer to the unit, it will come back. You will hear pretty loud sound right now. We don't have much wind at all, so we're running on motor right now to make sure we get to Bartolomé on time. We only have a 3-hour window where we're allowed to be there. Everything is strictly monitored in the Galapagos, so we have our 3-hour window. We have to be there on time, and then we have to leave at the right time. So I'm walking past some crew cabins right now, and we're going to see the helm here where they steer the ship. There it is. And then we're going to see the compass here, right there. And if I pop in the back here really so important. There we go. You can see we're getting close. This is the amount of ground we've covered. You'll see Santiago here. I'll show you guys it in real time in a minute. And there's Bartolome. So we're getting pretty close to our destination. We are making really, really good time. You can see depth finders here. You can see more compass gear. We have our map because we do still use paper and pencil. It's so important to keep track of where we are and where we're going. And also communication gear is very important. And these flags. All these flags up here are different signals. Some of these are flags for the different places we visit. Some of them are signals we can put up to communicate with ships. For instance, this is the flag Cook Islands. In a few months, we'll be in the Cook Islands. There's Argentina. We were in Argentina a few months ago. Some of the flags, New Zealand over here will be another one we'll use soon, Peru. So signal flags as well as country flags from all the places that around the world. You can see it's a 3-masted tall ship, a 3-masted schooner. It's from the Netherlands. You see the flag back there. You can see the 3 masts here. We have all the sails down. We just don't have much wind today, which is a plus for us because it's not affecting our live stream. You can hear us nice and clearly today without the wind. Let's make our way along. You can see the masts. We have a collection of sails along here that we can raise at different times depending on the conditions of the wind and where it's coming from. This life raft here is more of kind of an example of how it would have been in the past. These are the new life rafts here. They're big. You throw it over and it automatically inflates. We have 4 of them and more than enough space if anything were to happen. So these are the newer life rafts that we have on board the ship. As we make our way along towards the back, we're going to head towards the bow, actually. Sorry, the front. There's more crew quarters here. Jesse can attest to this. Climbing up here on the webbing all the way up onto the platform is one of the funnest things you can do on the ship. It gives you just an amazing view of the ocean. It's pretty awesome. You can see all the different ropes here for the different topsails all along here that we can loosen and pull on to drop and raise the topsails. And then if we go up here towards the bow, to the bowsprit, you can see the anchors here. We should get a nice view of the 2 anchors. There they are. They're pulled up right now. You can see the 2 spots where they drop down. And then another fun spot to go out on is onto the netting out here and look down. Sometimes you have dolphin out. We've got 3 more sails here as well. So there we go. That's a little walkthrough of the ship today. I'm not going to go downstairs because everybody's having breakfast and some people might not want to be on camera. So I will stick to just the outside for today. Jesse, if you want to queue up our next experiment. So 2 weeks ago, we had the experiment on rearing brine shrimp. So let's take a look at those results now. And then we'll take a look at a brand new experiment.
Fantastic. I'm just going to say a quick note, Joe. Someone mentioned in the YouTube chat that we didn't get the audio on that Ocean Conservation Trust video. So I'm going to make sure you all have the link to that video and the website to learn more. I'm going to queue up the video in a bit of a different way to make sure that we have audio for the next one. So our experiment results, just give me a quick second here, and we'll bring up together exploring our salt lakes. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. And we're just about to dive in together.
Perfect.
Wants to work. Thinking about it. You can hear that all right?
Yep.
Perfect.
Welcome back, everyone. How did you get on rearing your very own brine shrimps? Well, it's about 2 weeks since I put the eggs into the water in this jam jar. And look, I've got about 10 brine shrimps swimming around. My brine shrimps are about, I don't know, 10, 12 millimeters large. Maybe this one's a little bit bigger. They can get even larger than that. Some of them can even get about 18 millimeters in length. They're really amazing, intricate little animals, and it's really fun to look up at them really close in the water and see them swimming around. Could you work out the answer to the questions I posed at the start of this experiment? How do the flamingos survive in the salt lakes, and what do they eat? Well, our little brine shrimps are part of the answer. Well, these amazing little animals are one of the very few multicellular organisms that can survive in salt lakes. They can be really plentiful just simply because there's very few other organisms that can survive in that environment. And the flamingo's favorite food are these little guys, although we probably better not tell them. The flamingo has a very specialized bill that enables it to filter feed thousands of little brine shrimps out of the salt lakes. And in the wild, these guys can actually be bright pink, and it's their pink coloration that can influence the beautiful pink feathers of flamingos. So if you guessed brine shrimps as the food of the flamingos, you were absolutely right. Well, luckily these guys are safe. They're not going to be eaten by any flamingos, and you can have a look at them really close up and see their amazing intricate body structures. If you look really closely, you'll see your brine shrimps swimming around. They often do upside down with all of their tiny limbs flailing. What they're actually doing is filtering the water for algae, for bacteria, and tiny food particles. And that's how they get most of their food. You can actually see them feed and watch their tummies become full. If you don't feed them for a day or two, you'll notice the brine shrimps become almost completely clear. But then if you add a little bit of food to your container, I can see it there drifting in. The brine shrimps will quickly eat that. And if you come back in about an hour or so, you'll see their bodies turn black. And that's actually the food within their gut system. So you can see how efficient these little filter feeders are. It's amazing to think of all of the thousands of organisms all around us living their lives silently. Often we don't even notice them, such as these brine shrimps in salt lakes. But equally, if you head out into your garden, there'll be countless earthworms and tiny invertebrates beneath your feet. They break down leaf litter and create the soils that we depend upon, because without those soils, the crops that we eat wouldn't be able to grow. So returning to our salt lakes, it's amazing to think that these beautiful little brine shrimps are the basis for the ecosystem that supports flamingos and other animals. You can keep your culture of brine shrimps growing for many weeks on your windowside in your school classroom. And you might even get multi-generations of brine shrimps as your first generation lays eggs and those hatch. So keep a lookout for tiny brine shrimps as your culture ages. I really hope that you enjoyed rearing your very own brine shrimps, and thank you for taking part in this experiment.
All right. Before I talk about the experiment, I have a guest who just came and joined me here. So let me switch my camera view again here. Hopefully they don't leave me. There we go. Let's get in here on grasshopper. Well, not a little grasshopper. This is actually kind of a large grasshopper. So last night on the ship, we had some lights on. And these guys were crashing onto the ship, landing on the ship, surprising some of the crew, and dropping in through some of the hatches and dropping in where I was doing a little bit of work on my computer. So here we go. We have a little hitchhiker on board here. So a little insect action for you, an invertebrate visiting the tall ship today. Very, very cool. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed rearing the brine shrimp. As always, with all the experiments, we have a list of them on the DARWIN200 YouTube channel, a playlist. If you want to go back in time and try any of the experiments we've done so far, please do. You can check them out, try them for yourself. It doesn't matter if you don't do them at the same week that we do them. What's important is that you just try them out. You try the experiments and you give them a go. Oh, my screen's a little, there we go. Okay, so I should mention you as well that we have, you talked about the salt brine shrimp video. Well, it turns out that the Galapagos has flamingos. On a few little lagoons and a few little islands, you can find flamingos. So there's a chance when we visit Tortuga Bay again on Thursday that we might see some flamingos in the lagoon. You just never know for sure. But there are flamingos in the Galapagos, so that's a nice tie-in to the brine shrimp experiment, where they feed on the brine shrimp and they get that pink color from pigments in the brine shrimp. So Jesse, we have a brand new experiment this week, feeding birds. So let's take a look at that experiment, and then we'll talk about how students can take part. Here it comes. There we go.
Welcome back, everyone. In today's activity, you can find out what species of feathered friends you have in your garden, at school, or at home. We're going to make our very own bird feeder. This is really simple. All you need are some cardboard tubes. These can be toilet paper tubes or kitchen roll tubes. Really, any dimensions or size will work fine. You need some peanut butter, ideally smooth peanut butter, not the crunchy type. You need some bird seed and a piece of string. First, take a cardboard tube. I'm going to use this kitchen roll tube, I think, and cut it so it's about 15 to 20 centimeters or so long. Then open your peanut butter, take out a good chunk, and carefully coat the peanut butter all over the outside of your tube. You don't need to put too much on. This is basically to enable the bird seed to stick, so it doesn't have to be very thick. If your peanut butter isn't spreading very well, just heat it up a little bit in the microwave. But with a bit of careful spreading, you should be able to get a nice even coating all over your tube. A little bit more to go, and then I think my tube is completely covered in peanut butter. Next, get the piece of string and very carefully thread it through the tube. Pull it very carefully through. There we go. And we'll just hold that there for a second. Then pour on an even coating of birdseed onto a plate. And you have to then roll your sticky peanut butter covered tube in the birdseed. Look at that. Wow. The seed is sticking to the peanut butter, so it's getting absolutely coated. Press it down a few times. Make sure you get all of the seeds covering every little patch of peanut butter. The more seeds you get on, the better. Doesn't that look tasty for the birds? They're going to absolutely love that. There we go. I think I've completely covered my tube in seeds now. Then get the two ends of the string and tie them in a knot at one end. And then your bird feeder is pretty much ready to go. Try and find a good position so it's not completely exposed and open, but equally you don't want a place that's completely covered in undergrowth and difficult for the birds to reach. So the edge of a hedgerow or underneath a tree, these are really good places where you can attract birds. But remember, they need to be able to see it to notice it. Once you put up your bird feeder, go inside and watch it from the window. Write down how long it takes for the first birds to notice it and come and start pecking at all of these seeds. And if you can, Try and identify how many species of birds come and eat from your birdseed feeder. I'm going to hang this up in my back garden and record how many species of birds come to eat these delicious seeds. You can download a record sheet from www.darwin200.com to record how many species of birds come to eat from your bird feeder. Send in a copy of your results sheet to classroom@darwin200.com over the next 2 weeks for a chance to win a £50 Amazon gift voucher prize. Join me in 2 weeks' time to find out how many species of birds came to visit my bird feeder. Good luck and see you then.
All right. So this is a pretty good one for this week. Feeding birds in your yard. Hopefully we see a good diversity of birds from different places around the world. Here in the Galapagos, we have no shortage of birds. Pelicans, blue-footed boobies, red-footed boobies, Nazca boobies, the penguins, noddies, tropic birds. The list goes on and on and on. The magnificent frigate birds. We have seen a lot of birds both on land, like the Darwin finches and the mockingbirds, and then out here in the ocean. So give that experiment a try. Send in some photos, classroom@darwin200.com. Send us a list. How many birds did you see? 10 species, 20 species. How lucky were you in your backyard? How much did you see? Okay, so 2 weeks for that experiment. In 1 week, we need the answer for our diffusion experiment. Classroom@darwin200.com. You still have 1 week to send in your answer to the diffusion experiment, and we will look at our results next week when I am back in Canada, having to leave the Oosterschelde and the Galapagos, which is always hard to do, to leave the Galapagos. Before our curiosity, I want to show you how close we're getting to Santiago. So we are getting close. We're actually making a little bit better time than I thought we were going to. So let's just zip up here to the front and let's take a little look at Santiago before we log out for today. All right, we're still connected. That's positive. Good, good. And now, so we've left Santa Cruz behind us. It's going to be maybe hard to see. Just in the distance, you can see Santa Cruz still. Might not be able to see it, though, with the sun. And now, if I peek over here, we get our first look at Santiago. So you can see some volcanic cones there. It's a bit dark around the shore. There's some lava rock from eruptions in the past. So there we go. We're getting our first look at Santiago. I would say within the hour, hopefully we'll be dropping our anchor and getting ready to explore Bartolome, Pinnacle Rock. And then if you have time, look up a place called Sullivan Bay. We're probably going to visit Sullivan Bay, which is an area of newer volcanic rock, maybe 1,000 years old. And it's kind of like being on the moon. So you're going to want to check that out. And see what that moonscape looks like on the lava rock. We have to look at our curiosity from last week. Let's take a look at last week's curiosity. Let's see what the answer was.
Back everyone. Last week, I asked you to try and identify this object here, attached to this branch. In fairness, this is quite a difficult curiosity to identify. Well, the answer, it's actually a wasp's nest. It's from the European wasp. The wasps chew up wood and make this papery substance, which they build up into this little ball-like structure. And they have a lattice of hexagonal egg chambers in the center where they lay their eggs and their grubs then grow. This is actually a really small one. They can get much larger than this. They can get easily 30 centimeters or so in diameter. So there's only a tiny young wasp nest that I found out in the woods a few years ago. So anyone that wrote in the answer, wasp's nest, got it absolutely right. Thank you for taking part. And now let's find out who won this week's prize.
So we had several classes send in answers for us. We had lots of different guesses. We had guesses like dried leaves. We had guesses like fungus. We had guesses like plant material. But we did have several who thought maybe they were made by bees, maybe they were made by wasps. So congrats to the classrooms who said it was a wasp nest. Our curiosity was absolutely a wasp nest this week. We are getting closer and closer to Santiago. What I'll probably do, because it's still going to take us a little while to get there, is I'm going to live stream our arrival. Oh, a little sea lion just swam by me in the water. As we get closer to the land, we're going to see more sea lions around the ship. We saw some Galapagos sharks swimming around the ship this morning, so maybe we'll see a few more join us as we get closer to land. We're going to have more birds coming out to the ship as we get closer to land. But for now, it's still, like I said, probably another at least 30, 40 minutes. But I'm going to live stream our arrival for a few minutes when we get nice and close to Bartolomé and Pinnacle Rock. So it will appear, and I will share it in a playlist, so you will get to see our arrival probably in the next 30 to 40 minutes, and I will live stream as we arrive. Now, we have a curiosity of the week. It ties into being on the Galapagos. It ties into the brine shrimp experiment. It ties in very nicely to the feeding birds experiment. So Jesse, if you want to cue up our curiosity for this week.
Welcome back, everyone. For this week's curiosity, I've got these two feathers here. What type of bird do you think these feathers are? A clue is in the color. Send in your answers to classroom@darwin200.com for a chance to win a £50 Amazon gift voucher prize. Join us next week to find out the answer. Good luck.
All right, there we go. Curiosity of the week, classroom@darwin200.com. I think most of you can tell that has come from a bird. Perhaps it's a bird you might find in the Galapagos. And one more hint, it ties in very, very nicely to some of the things that we talked about in today's event. Now, I know it's very bright. You're seeing me in the sun here, but there's not a lot of spots I can hide out right now. Over the equator, the sun is right above us. It is very hot all day long. It'll disappear right at 6 o'clock. We'll have the sunset. So there's not a lot of spots where you can hide from the sun if you're on deck right now. I want to give a huge shout out to our classrooms who joined us today. Thank you so much for being with us live. Thank you so much to the classrooms who took part in the curiosities and the experiments from last week and 2 weeks ago. Thank you for the amazing questions. We don't have our nationalists with us right now. I think they're below deck having a little bit of breakfast. But thank you to Sotu and Mario for joining us live today. Stu as well being with us. It was great to have him. A huge shout out to Rodri as always. Rodri, thank you so much for the filming and being behind the scenes with us. And we are getting close. Santiago is there in front of us. Bartolome is just around the corner, and I will live stream a little bit of that for you. In fact, I think the best way to sign off today is maybe just one more view of the ocean, one more view of Santiago. We have one more video to play as well. We could not be doing this, the Darwin 200, the world's most exciting classroom, without our sponsors, without our partners. Individual people from around the world, organizations from around the world, institutions. So critical to making the Darwin 200 happen, bringing the Darwin leaders from around the world to the ports, doing research on board the ship, and of course our live classroom events. So that's how we're going to wrap up today. A big shout out, goodbye, thank you for being with us, and let's watch our sponsor video as we conclude today's live event.